Hey, this is Jason Cruz for the Northwest Asian Weekly, and I am talking to a man of all abilities, podcaster, writer. His film is going to be featured at the Seattle Asian American Film Festival this weekend. Jay Caspian Kang, how you doing today?
Good. It's great to talk to you. Thank you for the very kind introduction. I don't think I'm good at. I
You do have your own
don't know. You should
podcast.
watch me. You should watch me play tennis or something before you say something like that.
Well, I do remember. I follow you. I know you have two books out. You I kind of know. I basically kind of know you from Grantland.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
that that website way back when. But so you have a I don't know, what do you call it? 30 for 30 film? Is it film,
Right.
short? What a documentary about Michael Chang. It's called American Son. It's going to be premiering at the Seattle Asian American Film Festival. Now, tell me a little bit tell us a little bit about it, and we could kind of talk about how it's been a struggle to get it seen.
Well, it is a feature film, right? So it's about 75 minutes or so, I think. And it's about Michael Chang, and it's about, his rise with Agassi, Sampras, and what's called the golden era of American tennis, right? That was in the late 80s or in the 80s basically, but they all sort of came into their own in the late 80s, early 90s. And yeah, it's about his family. A lot of it is about his mother. And then it's about this very famous match that he played against Ivan Lendl in the fourth round of the 1989 French Open. That round was, and then Ivan Lendl at the time was the number one player in the world. Michael Chang was this 17-year-old kid. He was a very, very good junior. He was a real tennis prodigy in a way that is very difficult to see on the men's side these days. Like a 17-year-old making it that deep into a Grand Slam tournament doesn't really happen anymore. But it happened for him. And so it's about that match, and then it's about how that match coincided with the crackdown in Tiananmen Square. And then it's really just about how an immigrant family sort of tries to think about, what is happening in their homeland, right? Michael's family is Chinese. And then what that means for a 17-year-old kid who grew up in America, right? Like what does how does he think about it? During the French Open, during his run, he was asked endlessly about this, right? Like he was asked endlessly, right after he wins, for example, right? He wins the whole thing. He's on the Today Show, and Bryant Gumbel asks him, straight, like almost right off the bat, it's like, well, what do you think about what's going on in China? And you see him kind of just be like, right? He's like, I don't know, man. I'm like a 17-year-old kid who grew up in San Diego, right? Like, so, um, it's about that sort of the film is really about Michael's tennis career, but the part of it that I would say the second half of it, in some ways, maybe the last third of it, is an exploration of, the sort of ways in which the diaspora think about their homeland.
Now, I'm a little older than you, so I recall as a teenager this match, and it was actually just a fourth round match against Ivan Lendl. He Chang had suffered from leg cramps. He was shoving bananas and
Right.
drinking water.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was doing he basically messed with Lendl's head because he did the short serve, and he was crouching the service line, and he frustrated Lendl to the point that he came back, I believe, if I recall, from to win, and then to win that match against Lendl, and then he actually came back to beat Stefan Edberg, I believe.
Edberg, yep, in the final,
Yes,
yep.
to win the final. Now, when you reached out to Mike about this project, how receptive were they? Or I mean, how do you basically go out to reach out to Michael to do this?
Um, he was quite receptive. He's been wonderful. throughout the film, he is a lot of the movie is about his mother. His mother was wonderful to interview, very, very funny, vibrant, like like just a very, very funny person, like great sense of humor and very I think is sort of like a documentarian's dream, right? Because there are some people who are interviewees who are, sometimes they're not great, right? So, for example, sometimes people ask, I've been asked a couple times, this is not to brag in any sort of way, but people are doing documentaries on something that I wrote an article about many years ago or something, and they're asking me, and I always tell them, you do not want me to be part of your documentary. Like I'm just gonna sit there and be weird and boring the whole time. But Michael and his mother were wonderful. It was great to sort of see things that you would sort of think that was still true of them come out in the film. So right? Like Michael's competitiveness, which was why he was such a great player, right? Despite being quite small for tennis, not having that overpowering first serve, but like this idea that somebody can just sort of gut their way to wins over and over and over and over, even at a very young age, is very true in tennis, especially, I don't know, anyone who has played a lot will tell you that, right? Sometimes you play against someone and you're just like, why am I losing? you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, and then you have these points where you're just like, I cannot handle this. Like this guy just hit the ball back 8 times. I've been smashing it every time. I'm just gonna give up, right? Like that, it happens. So, to get to that level and to be that type of player, you need to have a real, I think, like intense, almost Steph Curry like competitiveness, where on the outside you're a very nice guy, right? But then inside, like there's something going on where you're just like never gonna give up on a point. You're always gonna try and put it right to your opponent in ways that they don't like. And seeing that come out of Michael was really cool, I think, seeing that competitor come out of him.
Intense killer instinct, I guess would you could say.
Yeah, you need it in tennis, man. I don't have it in tennis. I'm just, I'm the opposite. I just kind of if I'm winning, I start to feel bad, and then I just kind of start losing points as
Now,
it gets close.
now how open was Michael and his mom to talk about all these issues? I mean, I'm not sure if you delved into Tiananmen Square or the political
Well,
happenings
yeah,
there, but how open?
they were quite willing to talk about it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you'll see it in the film, right? Like, yeah, they talk about what happened quite freely. I don't know. I guess I'm not quite understanding the subtext of these questions.
Oh, I was just asking just how open were they
Oh
to
yeah, yeah, no,
talk about
very
it?
open. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know if there was anything that was just, they didn't want to discuss or they just didn't have this particular knowledge. That's kind of what I'm just
Oh,
curious.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, they lived through this moment that we talked about, right? They lived
Yeah.
through this moment where the eyes of the world were both on Tiananmen and the eyes of sports were on Michael because he was 17 making this run. And because he was an Asian dude and this thing was happening, he was asked about it all the time. And
Yeah.
so, um, and Michael has talked about it a lot, right? If you watch, every once in a while, the French Open or the Tennis Channel will trot back out like footage of that match because it's one of the great matches in not just French Open history, but it's one of the great matches in tennis history. 17-year-old kid is cramping up, is 2 sets down, and then comes back to win, doing like crazy stuff, right? Like stuff that like some of the winners that he was trying to hit. Um, the underhand serve is a very famous moment from that match, right? Where he's just kind of trying to figure out anything he can do to win, and then he just throws out an underhand serve, and then Lendl, starts the crowd goes crazy. Lendl gets madder. Yeah, he does not really he talks about it, I don't know. Our film is not the only time that he's talked about it, but I think our film is the time in which he talks about it the most in depth, I would say,
Mm.
or at least I would hope.
Now, just a general question. Was he out of high school or was he homeschooling at the time? He was 17 years old. I don't recall what was where he was in the educational process.
Right. Well, he went pro at 15.
Yeah.
Right. And part of the reason why he was able to go pro was because Reebok was this nascent sports company or just kind
Right.
of up and coming sports company, and they wanted to invest in young athletes that could help carry their brand. You know, Michael very famously had the tennis pump shoe, like, right, which he had a Reebok tennis
It's
pump.
kind of coming back to me. I just
Right. Yeah,
remember
yeah,
the
yeah. It
pump.
was pretty sick. So, because he went pro so early, right? I think that a lot of the schooling stuff was basically like a homeschool type of situation
Okay.
because when you're a tennis professional, you have to travel so much, right?
Mhm.
And you basically spend your life on the road with your team. And in his case, his team was a lot of times his mother, right? And so, you have a 15, 16-year-old kid and his mom traveling really around the world. And a lot of some of the film is about that bond between the two of them.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, just generally about the film. So, Seattle Asian American Film Festival is saying it's the world premiere. Now, I thought this started in September. You started working on this in 2022. Is that when did you start working on the documentary?
Um, I don't
Later than that,
remember.
earlier than that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends what you think, how you define the word work. I
Oh,
started thinking about doing a documentary like this and reaching out to people. I don't know, been a few years at this point, right?
oh
And
wow. Okay.
everything takes a long time to
But this is
do.
the first time it's been seen in front of public audiences. I'm
Yeah,
that's
yeah, this is the first time. Yeah.
okay. Now, will this be at other because well, I'm just saying because it's sold out. That's it's
Oh
sold out, so
yeah.
that's great. But for other
I
people
didn't
who
know that it's sold out. Oh, that's
it's on
wonderful.
the website, it says it's sold out.
Oh, cool.
So
That's awesome.
I mean you everybody who's watching this, you could check, but the website does say it's sold out. So
Oh,
everyone's anxious to see this, and I'm great that it's
well,
going to be seen. But where can we see this some other places? What's happening with it?
I hope so, right? I think that we are hoping to take it to some other festivals to maybe have a couple airings. Now, I don't really know uh exactly what the schedule going forward will be, but there is a there is a push to have it seen by as many people as possible and to try and do like events like this that are about community and about I don't know, like, this is important to me to have it in Seattle. Michael lived a lot of his adult life in the Seattle area. I think he was on Mercer Island or
Mercer
Bellevue.
Island.
One, yeah.
Hmm.
And then my parents live in the Seattle area,
Oh, nice.
so they're going to be able to come to the premiere, which I'm very, very, very excited about. My kids are coming and my wife is coming as well.
That's
And
great.
so when I was 20, I lived near the Safeway on 15th and John. So, I
Oh,
had a year
wow.
in Seattle myself. My
Okay.
sister lived in Mount Vernon for many years, really up until last year, and she moved out to Hawaii with her husband. But so my ties to the Seattle area are pretty deep, right? I mean, it's just like I don't know. My parents live there, right? So,
Well, yeah. Oh, well,
yeah,
I
yeah. So
mean,
I'm very excited about it because it's like, and I'm thrilled that I mean, I don't know. I wish that more people could see it, but I'm thrilled to hear that the showing is sold out. That's awesome.
it's
So,
sold out, and
yeah.
it sorry to go off script, but it's the same day as SneakerCon, so people made a huge effort to go to you, see your, and it's 2 in the afternoon, so they could see you, then they could walk down the hill to the
Man,
go check out SneakerCon.
I got a closet full of old Jordans that maybe I'll just bring that I'd never ever ever wear. So maybe I'll just bring some and thank people for skipping. Like, listen, I know SneakerCon is happening, but here's like I don't know here's a pair of Concord 11s, you
Hey, you
know.
could get yeah, don't sell them as StockX. Okay, so what is next for you? Are you working on another video project, or is that something you want to do, or you like what you're doing right now, which is the podcast, writing? What are your plans?
I think I would always like to be I mean, I always write. It's what I grew up wanting to do, and it's what I think I've done the most, and it'd be, I think that I'll always be a journalist and a writer. I would love to work on more film projects coming out. There's a few that you never know, right? But there are a few that I would just say I would like to work on. But nothing. And I find that doing both is really healthy for people, somebody who makes their living doing what I do. It allows you to think about things in different ways. It helps your writing quite a bit because you think about things a bit more cinematographically. Is that the word?
Sure.
More visually. Let's
Yeah.
you think of it, there are different types of structures and documentaries that you can use in your writing. And then there's a lot of stuff in writing that helps with documentary work as well, right? And so for me, doing both, I think is going to be the hope. But obviously, I don't know. It's who knows, right? Like it's very difficult to get things made, and it's very difficult to our journalism industry is going through rough times right now. And so
Sure.
I don't want to say anything about the future because I'm very superstitious,
Oh,
Like I believe in every type of jinx possible. And so yeah, I'm not gonna say anything. Yeah.
well, Jay, thank you so much for your time. I wish success for American Son. Michael Chang will be there, right, at the Q&A?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna be his mother's gonna be there too.
Okay.
Do you have a ticket?
I do not.
Okay, let me try and fix that for you, right?
If
It'd be
yeah,
great if you could come because uh, uh um especially since you're help, like I appreciate you, helping getting the word out about
it's
everything.
okay.
So
It's definitely I should have jumped on this earlier, and that's probably that's okay. That's totally fine. But yeah, no, if you can, that's great. If not, no worries. I don't I'm not I didn't do this to ask for
no,
ask.
no, no, I understand. Yeah, yeah, no, I'm just saying I would love for you to be there and see it because, or do you play tennis? Or are you a tennis fan?
Yeah, tennis family. So yeah, I assume you were a tennis fan. Is that right? Or you play
Yes,
tennis?
well, I hadn't played in many years, but as a fan of watching the sport, and
Is
then
that why you wanted to do this on Michael Chang, one of the
yeah,
reasons?
I think so. I think it was that I had watched a lot of tennis and I had watched footage of that match against Lendl. And
Okay,
obviously, a lot of stuff that I do involves Asian American
of
stuff,
course.
right? And so it was, it seemed to me like somebody should make a documentary about Michael because I, oh, there's another part of it, which was that people were thinking about Jeremy Lin, and
Of
because
course.
his career had just ended and they were sort of, and then I am of the right age, just barely. I think you are right in the exact right age range where you have this thought where people are like, he was the first Asian American for Jeremy. They say like
Mhm.
Jeremy was the first real Asian American superstar, and you're just like, wait. Michael Chang had a whole Reebok Reebok
Oh,
ad.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I
He was
mean,
on national TV and magazine ads, like
he
with the
was.
Reebok campaign.
He was as big as Agassi, I think.
He was a huge star, right? When he was until Agassi just became like
Yeah,
a
multi.
better player, right?
Yeah,
Or like the number one player in the world, and Michael was like, I think Michael got to number two in the world, right? At some point.
yeah,
But
yeah. He was right up there. I mean, I
right
always
up there,
whenever they
yeah.
played, I always watched the matches. I always rooted for Michael. I mean, yeah, I think
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, right. They played that big US Open final, right, at some point.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
no, I've always followed Michael. So is Michael now maybe a little too personal, but is he what is he doing right now, Michael?
I
Businesses or just
well,
enjoying retirement?
the one thing I can say, I don't know the answer to like, what he like how like I don't I what he does like for work or whatever.
Sure,
But what
sure.
I can tell you is that he is a father and he has some his kids are like super athletes.
Oh,
We
tennis?
we filmed this like kind of like, B-roll type segment where he was hitting with his daughter. I think his
Okay,
daughter is about I think she might be 13 now. But is young
sure.
and she was just smashing these backhands. I was sitting there. I was just like, wow, right? Like, and
Yeah.
so his kids are great athletes. I think his younger daughter is it plays a lot of golf, right?
Okay.
And so I think that he does what a lot of us do. I do this too, right? He spends a lot of time shuttling kids from sports practice to
Yes.
sports
I
practice.
I I
Do you do
doing
that
that this
too?
afternoon. But so is that is someone is what's her daughter's name? So is that a name we should look for on the junior circuit pretty soon?
Um, I am blanking on his kid.
But that's okay.
Uh,
But I
yeah,
mean, I
yeah,
would.
yeah. I think so. I think that you know what, I had seen, um, I saw something recently, like somebody, I think it was like maybe it's John Wertheim or somebody like that, somebody who covers tennis.
Mhm.
I don't think it was John, but you know, it's one of these tennis accounts tweeted something about how Michael's daughter was like moving up the rankings for her age group. But yeah, I think it would be really, you know, his wife, Amber was the number one player in the won two, I think she won two individual NCAA titles when she was at Stanford in tennis.
Oh,
And
what was her
so,
maiden name?
um, Amber Liu, I believe.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
look that up. I did
Yeah,
not know.
she won two national titles, I think, at Stanford, I believe. Please don't fact check me, but
That's
you know,
okay.
I
That's okay.
think that
That's
she,
like Steffi and Andre now. They're
yeah,
gonna have a super
the
baby.
point is she was great,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, and you know, Michael's brother Carl was also a great tennis player. He played at Cal. He was the number one player at Cal, I think.
Mhm.
And so I live in Berkeley, and so
Of course, yeah.
it's been one of my friends in journalism was actually Carl's doubles partner, because they were both at Cal at the same time. And so, you know, it's a tennis family. And that definitely is, you know, part of our film is like this family immigrates to the United States. The dad gets super into tennis because the company he's working for like kind of has this like free tennis type clinic, fun family time type of thing. And then the two boys get really into it. And then, you know, it just happens that both of them are superstars, but the younger one, who is Michael, there's just something like very special about him, even though he is tiny, right? Compared to everyone else. You
Mhm.
see this match that we show in the film, and it's from when Michael, I think, was 15, and he played Kalamazoo, which is the US, basically the US juniors uh
Mhm.
championship, and he's playing Jim Courier. Jim Courier, I think, was a year or two older than him, right? Jim Courier is like this was like the size comparison when you see them
I
is
remember
like,
Kerr, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then you know Michael just demolishes him, right? And then that's how Michael got his ticket to play in the U.S. Open, because the whoever wins Kalamazoo gets to play in the U.S. Open, and then he plays in the U.S. Open at the age of 15. And that's that kind of like when people start to pay attention to him, because I think he was the youngest player to ever play like a sort of non-qualifying opening round at the US Open. He won that match and then he lost the next match. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, Jay, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. Now, two things. One off the board is that, I actually interviewed a gentleman who had no relation to Michael Chang, who made this huge mural of Michael Chang in New Jersey. Now, his name is Richard Roig. I don't know if you.
Oh, well, Michael was born in Hoboken.
Yeah, so
Right.
he made this mural, but I interviewed him about it, and I think he had met Michael, but he did it with independent of not knowing who, just a big fan. I think he was a white guy actually, but like he's
Mm.
just a big, not that it matters, but but
Not
but he made this big mural. It took so much time. It was beautiful. I'll try to send you the article about it. And then the second thing is, you're such a big basketball fan and with Seattle Times, why don't you tweet about the Sonics a little more coming back?
Well, isn't it kind of inevitable at this point? Like,
I
doesn't it
feel
seem
that
like
the
it?
NBA is trolling, right? They're just Silver. Adam Silver says next media, when next time the media deal comes up.
That's
Well,
but you're right. That's what he said last
he
time
keeps
too.
talking about when is the media deal up? 2045? Uh, so
No, 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 no. The
no, it's
media
like two
deal is
years
up,
now.
yeah, in 2 years.
But I
But
feel as though it will be Seattle and Vegas, although there's always these, oh, Mexico City or Pittsburgh or Louisville, Kentucky. I just don't know.
Pittsburgh is one of the.
Yeah, I don't know. They did a
Oh,
study. Yeah, I mean, they do these independent studies on different cities, and I think it's just a way to make sure that the cities that are on the list keep track, kind of like NHL, things like that. But
well, I don't know. I hope the Sonics come back.
oh,
I
yeah.
went I went to the Save Our Sonics rally many years ago when I
Did
wrote
you
it for
really?
when I wrote at Grantland when
I,
the presidents of the United States of America were there. And I don't know, like Seattle is such a huge basketball city in terms of both the support that team would have, but also the talent that comes out of there, out of the Seattle area. And I think it's one of those things that people don't realize, right? You have a high school like Rainier Beach where
mm-hmm.
I think there are 7 pros that came out of
Yeah.
there, right? Like they're all like 6'5" guards, right? Like they're all
Yeah.
like
Well,
basically
Jamal Crawford, speaking of
right,
Jamal Crawford coaches his young son's AAU team. He's in seventh grade, but he's playing up to eighth grade. And
right.
apparently they have not apparently, they do have a 6 foot Asian kid who's one of the best players on that team. So that's
Oh
for
no.
and
Oh
later
wow,
on,
that's
I
great.
watched him in person. That boy is good. Like
Really?
burly. He goes to the cup. He throws a lot of elbows, which is good. Like you
What
like
type? Wait. What country is he from?
what?
Or what country are his
He's
parents
Asian
from?
American. He's Chinese. Chinese
He's
American.
Chinese American. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
I follow this TikTok account that basically tracks every like good Asian
Oh,
high
really?
school. Yeah. It's called AMAZN or something like that, sports or something.
So
I'll have to
I am friends. I am like Twitter friends with Rafe Bartholomew.
Yeah, of
So
course.
he
Yeah.
keeps me up to date. But yeah, so this kid, I will send you the name of the kid, but like he's like 6 foot, eighth grader, Asian kid. And he plays as much as JJ Crawford, Jamal's son. So
Is Jamal Crawford's kid good?
he's well, AAU games, all 3 pointers. He's
Yeah.
short and he's tall and lanky. So he's just like
So
his
like his
son,
dad, right?
just like
Yeah.
his dad. He doesn't, he's gonna be good. I mean, he's gonna, but I'm just saying I mean, not a lot of defense, but it's AAU games, but like anytime he shoots a three, it's good. But yeah, that's pretty much his game right now. He's a seventh grader, so but you could tell because like he's gonna grow up to be like 6'5", 6'6", just like his dad. Lanky. If he filled out his frame, he'd probably be like first round. But you could tell that guy has the talent. So
Yeah, they have yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking about how they create these.
super teams?
No. I just yeah, like that one high school, Rainier Beach has
Yeah.
I like wow,
Well,
it's
now
the
this is delving deeper in the past, but
right.
remember Brandon Roy?
Yeah, Brandon
And
Roy,
then they had him coach. It's not
right,
Rainier Beach, but Ballard High School, and
right.
they brought all those kids over to Ballard High School to play, and they won the state championship. And they were all supposed to go to University of Washington to play for Lorenzo Romar, but Romar did so bad the year before he got fired, so they all like split up and went to different
What
places.
year was that? Was that the Fultz year? Or was that Markel Fultz? Or was no,
That
because Markel
was
Fultz went to
that was
he
before
went to Oak Hill, right? So
he
was
went.
this like the Marquise Chris era before that? Or what
Yeah,
was it?
see, yeah, UW has a lot of players that are good, but never the college team isn't good because they had Fultz
Right.
and no, I'm sorry. Fultz was after DeJounte Murray and Marquise Chris. So Marquise
Right.
Chris and DeJounte Murray played on the same team. that was last in the Pac-12. How can you do that?
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. Now look at.
Last in the Pac-12. You can't do that. So I think that's what got Romar fired.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right. I do remember that team. Yeah, and
Yes.
then both of them got it was like one of those, how did they have two first round picks and get and come in last in the Pac-12? The Fultz team wasn't good either,
No, the
right?
Fultz team wasn't good.
And
They
he was
played
like
against.
the consensus best player in the country.
Yeah, I remember they played a big game against who was it? One of the ball kids, Lonzo. I
Probably
think.
Lonzo, yeah.
Yeah, so it was Lonzo and him, and UCLA just blew him out. I mean, Fultz just had no. I mean, I give him props for coming all the way out to Seattle, but he had no help on that team.
Right,
Came out
right,
for
yeah.
Romar. I think that was Romar's last. Wait, no, it was the other year. But and then as you remember, we could go through the history of this. Jalen McDaniels, he plays for who's the kid who
Right,
plays for
right,
the
right.
Minnesota right now?
Jalen McDaniels,
Jalen
yeah. His
McDaniels.
brother is Jaden, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like I don't know where Jaden is now. I think
Jaden was with
he
Charlotte,
might
but
be on
Jalen
Charlotte.
McDaniels
Yeah.
and Isaiah Stewart on the same team for Mike Hopkins, and they finished last. So Stewart, is punching people in the hallways
I know.
with the
He's
Pistons right now. But yeah, he had two first rounders.
I
They
know.
both won the first round, and they couldn't even make it to the NIT. Just
That's so weird. Yeah. You would think that by default one of those teams would be good, but then what's the last good team the last like good team they had was basically the IT year, right? That was like
yeah. Well, Matisse Thybulle, that year too. They had There was a year they had Matisse Thybulle and gosh, I forget who else. But yeah, yeah, IT that year was like the best year. They made it to, I
right.
think, the Sweet 16.
Sweet 16, yeah.
Yeah, there was the last year where they were number one. They didn't even make it to the Elite Eight. Yeah, they've never made it past the Elite Eight. I mean, made it to the Elite Eight. They've all been Sweet 16. So,
Oh man.
well, anyway, that's basketball history, Seattle basketball. I ran it down
Yeah.
for you, so you could use that to warm up the talk.
I will advocate more for the Sonics though.
Well,
I
I greatly
appreciate it.
appreciate your time, Jay. Thank you
All
so
right, and
much.
just DM me and I'll try and get you a ticket. I'll see if
Okay.
I can do it. All
Hey,
right.
I appreciate it. Hey, no worries if you can. It sounds like it's packed, so that sounds great.
Yeah, thanks for telling me about that. I'm very excited about it. We were like, I wasn't quite sure because I was like, well, it's at 2, and so then I was wondering if people could come, but it seems really, I don't know. That's very,
Early or in the afternoon, yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's all dads like me. If for me, it's like if a movie's at 2, I'm like, sweet, I can go. As long as it's a kids movie that I can drag a 7-year-old into. So it's like
Yeah,
the
no, I
Super
got
Mario
you.
Brothers movie or something like that. I haven't seen a movie at night in probably 7 years since
Well,
my daughter was born.
I just do it on demand or Netflix now.
I know. Like
You
how
can't.
who has the time to go to the theater, right?
Well, the thing is, the last time I went, they have the ones where they could lean back.
Yeah.
Like some of these things, I'm like almost asleep because it's just like Super Mario
Yeah.
Brothers, I think was the last one I went to a theater in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
For me, it was Ninja Turtles.
oh, that's more recent. That's more recent.
Yeah, it's a little more recent. All right, man. I appreciate it. I'll talk to
Okay,
you
Jay, thank you
soon. All
so
right,
much. I
cool.
appreciate it. Have
All
a
right.
great day.
You too. All right. Bye.